Morning.
Let me first apologize for the delay. It appears we are unable to broadcast on Facebook. Is that right, John?
That's right.
And we won't be on Channel 16 as a simulcast. So if the public wants to join in, they need to access
Facebook page.
the City of Albany Facebook page.
There's a link that's a stream to the YouTube where you can watch the stream live.
Okay. There will be a link that you can watch the YouTube, and that way you can monitor or observe today's meetings. I begin by calling the roll. Dr. Adams?
Present.
Ms. Battle?
Here.
Mr. Deal?
Here.
Mr. Logue?
Here.
The mayor is here. Any opening remarks, Dr. Adams?
None. I guess we can address the CSO issues that we recently had later on in the meeting. It will be appropriate.
Yes, sir. Okay. We'll address that under other matters. Is that fair enough?
That's fair enough.
Okay. Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Logue?
None.
The next item is the approval of the minutes. Have all the members had an opportunity to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Any errors or omissions? Dr. Adams?
None.
Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Mr. Logue?
None.
If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Dr. Adams?
None.
Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None. Excuse me, none.
Mr. Logue?
None.
Okay, with that, we'll call the roll. We call for a vote. Dr. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Battle?
Yes.
Mr. Deal?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. The next item, if the members will remember, it was tabled from the last meeting, these contracts for the outage management system upgrades. Is Ms. Norman with us? Ms. Fields, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Hey, good morning.
I'm gonna take this since I screwed it up last time. Here's this is round two. What we have attached to the agenda item is the contract that we're adding to. So all those issues that Mr. Logue so graciously picked up from the last meeting, they're a non-issue. That we had already negotiated the contract, but I couldn't tell you that because I had to be absolutely sure before I did it. So I sent these out to you earlier. I sent this information out to you earlier. You'll find that all the issues were already taken care of. So what this is a request to upgrade our SCADA system for a total expenditure of $114,850 with a recurring maintenance expense of $22,033.50.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Ms. Norman, do you have anything you want to add?
No, sir, not unless anyone has any further questions.
Okay. Dr. Adams, any questions for Ms. Fields or Ms. Norman?
None.
Ms. Battle? Mr. Deal?
No. None.
Slow.
Okay, just to clarify, nothing from before changed. So all the services and the prices, everything like that, add up to the $114,850. And then we're going to have the same terms and conditions as the agreement that we negotiated before.
Yes, sir.
Has Mr. Davis been provided with the actual document that we will sign?
Mr. Davis approved the original document that we signed.
Well, I understand that, but I suspect you'll have to sign something when these upgrades are initiated.
Yes, but
I'm curious if that actual document had been provided to Mr. Davis.
document that is to be signed states that the conditions are all still the same. The terms are all still the same.
Okay,
So
well,
I can provide that. I copied him when I sent it all to you.
okay. That's all. Thank you, Ms. Fields.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Logue. Now, I understand, Ms. Fields, this is just one master contract. We don't have separate contracts for every option like presented earlier this month, correct?
What they sent was they sent us the proposals for the 4 items they wanted to upgrade, and subsequent to our meeting, they sent us revised proposals that had the original terms on it and a statement that none of the terms would change. So basically, we're adding these items for this amount. No terms have changed.
Okay, without modifying the previous contract.
Correct.
Okay, all right. With that, would there be a motion to approve authorizing staff to enter into this contract with Data Voice International?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion, Dr. Adams?
Yes. Now, has Nathan put his stamp of approval on this changes?
Yes.
He has, and he's satisfied that we are not at a disadvantage.
That is correct.
Okay. Is Nathan present in this meeting?
No, Dr. Adams. I'm sorry to accommodate the change of the date. The dilapidated properties, they usually have that, I think, on Wednesdays.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
if Ms. Fields says that Nathan is satisfied, I'm satisfied with that answer. But I just want to, I kind of want to make sure he knows about it.
Can I say something here?
Okay, Mr. Carter has something to add.
Gentlemen and ladies, if this will make you feel better, you can add a condition that before executing the actual document, that you get a confirmation from Nathan if that makes you feel better about the process.
Did you hear that, Dr. Adams?
No, I really didn't. I got these earphones on, and between that and run that by me again, Mr. Carter, please.
Mr. Carter suggested that the motion be amended to confirm that the city attorney has approved the contract before staff enters into the contract.
That's fine with me.
Okay. Would that be acceptable, Mr. Logue?
Yes, that's acceptable.
Okay. And Mr. Deal, you seconded?
Yes, I did.
Is that acceptable?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I guess we can amend the motion in that manner. Is that all, Dr. Adams?
Correct.
That's it.
Okay, Ms. Battle?
Nothing.
Mr. Deal?
Nothing more.
Mr. Logue?
Nothing more.
Okay, we'll call the question. Dr. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Battle?
Yes.
Mr. Deal?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes, and the record should indicate that the motion was modified with the agreement of the movant and the second to require that the city attorney approve the contract before staff enters into the agreement. The next item on the agenda is a discussion, a request to change the meeting schedule. Presently, the utility board meets on the second and last Thursday of each month, and I would ask that we change that to the second and fourth Tuesday of each month. But of course, if the board wants to continue to meet on the second and last Thursday, I'll try to make arrangements to be here. Any discussion, Dr. Adams?
I have none. If this will accommodate you, then I certainly don't have any problem with that if the rest of the board members so desire.
I appreciate it, Dr. Adams. And Ms. Battle?
You're muted, Brenda.
Sorry, I'm not able to toggle fast enough. I have no problem with the change.
Okay. Mr. Deal?
No, sir. If it works for you, it works for me.
Thank you. Mr. Logue?
That's fine with me.
With that, the chair would make a motion to change the meeting schedule so that utility board meets on the second and fourth Thursday of each month. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Dr. Adams?
None.
Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Ms. Logue?
None.
Okay. The mayor has called the question. Dr. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Battle?
Yes.
Mr. Deal?
Yes.
Ms. Logue?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. The next item, does Mr. Stock have this? Discussion of the Power Supply Committee?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Stock.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. So, like we discussed before in the previous meetings back in March, the recommendations from GDS and our discussions were that we entertain the formation of a power supply committee. And so I submitted to you a draft charter for such a formation of a committee. And the only thing we really need to talk about, if you're okay with the way the charter is laid out, is on number 7 of the charter, which says membership and designation. It says the utility board shall appoint, and then it's kind of, blank, fill in the blank members, and the city manager and the assistant city managers by virtue of their office shall be members. So that's kind of the proposed, membership of the committee. My recommendation was kind of maybe 2 board members, but it's up to you. And we're okay with whatever you decide. But that's why that one kind of has a fill in the blank.
Okay. Any questions, Dr. Adams?
None.
Ms. Battle?
No questions.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Mr. Logue?
No, just one observation. And I like it, Ken, the way that everything's laid out. And I would agree with you that 2 board members should be sufficient. I think once you get more than 5 in a group, it becomes harder and harder to arrange everybody's schedule. And since this is in addition to our normal meetings, although it's only twice a year, or as we need them, I think that 5 would be a good number for the members of the commission. And that's all, Mayor.
Okay. I was thinking having 2 members and the city manager, and maybe put some language that the city manager could designate an assistant city manager to participate in his or her stead, if that's the case. Because otherwise, that would give you 3 people, and if you got in a situation where you had one assistant city manager who had some expertise in utilities, maybe he or she would be better to participate than the city manager, but he or she would be there as a representative of the city manager.
Yes, sir. I don't think staff has any issue with that. We can amend item 7 to read that way.
But no, we'll hear what everybody else has to say. I'm not trying to.
Well, I would like to make it may not be relevant, but I'd like to make a comment.
Yes,
I think an uneven number would be appropriate. That uneven number being 5, in case there's needs to be voted on a particular issue. And I would be a little hesitant about having the city manager be a voting member of such committee.
Okay. Well, I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think the city manager and the assistant city managers are voting members as this is presented. The other thing Dr. Adams, I mean, you'd have just 3 members if it was the assistant, if it was the city manager and the city manager or his or her designee and 2 members of the utility board. That would be 3. That'd be an odd number. But also, if you get in a situation where you only have 1 assistant city manager, or if you had 3 assistant city managers, that puts it at 4 and 6, the composition. I don't think the assistant city manager is going to be voting against the city manager, but I guess that's a possibility. But any further, if I mean, Dr. Adams, are you saying leave it like it is, or change the city manager from being a voting member?
My feeling would be change the city manager from being a voting member. I'm not set in stone with that, but I just want to bring that up as a observation. And I have to keep in mind that this committee only meets twice a year, and I'm not sure how much influence it would have other than kind of informational and monitoring type role.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing, Dr. Adams, that obviously in that report we got recently, you think about decisions were made in 2008, 1995 that should have really considered what's going to happen in 20 and 30 years. And so all this seems to be in the distant future, but we need to get ahead of it. And I think that's what one thing the consultant was telling us. And hopefully if we had this committee, we'd be keeping our eye on the ball, so to speak. I mean, one option would be, I'm thinking, have the 2 members of the utility board and 1 city member of the city commission. That would give you 3, and let the city manager be a member with a voice without a vote.
Yeah, I like that. I like that format.
The 3 folks, and
I like that format. I think that's a good format.
All right. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that? Ms. Battle? Have a problem with that red.
Muted. You're muted, Brenda.
I think she's multitasking.
Sorry, the system keeps automatically muting me, and I'm not fast enough. Okay, so, well, they just unmuted me, and I unmuted myself. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, well, so let me go back. You're saying 2 utility board members, 1 city commissioner, and the city manager who won't have a voice in voting.
No, will have a voice. That means he or she could participate in the discussions and even make recommendations. But if there's a vote, and I don't think anything is binding out of this committee, the committee ain't going to enter into a long-term contract. They couldn't do it without the utility board and the cities. So,
right.
So again, would not have a voice in voting. Is that what you're saying? The city manager wouldn't be able to vote.
Right, but could participate in the meeting, yeah.
All right. Okay, well, I mean, if everybody's good with that, I'm good with that.
No pushback on staff with that. Okay. Any thoughts, Mr. Deal?
No, I'm good with that.
And Mr. Lowe?
I like the 2 members being appointed by the utility board and 1 being appointed by the city commission. That will foster communication between the groups. We'll always know, and we are simply an advisory board. So the votes don't actually have that much, and at least at this point, in my opinion, to do with the matter. But I like the 3 voting members with the city manager participating and recommending and influencing and providing expertise that we might not have. But with the board and the city commissioner actually voting and making final decisions on recommendations.
And Mr. Carter, Mr. Stock, the way I think it would read is the Albany Utility Board shall appoint 2 members and the Albany City Commission shall appoint 1 member. The city manager / utility board general manager, by virtue of his or her office, shall be a member with a voice, but without a vote.
Yes, sir. Sounds perfect. Sounds perfect.
With that change, would someone like to make a motion to approve the charter?
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Carter. Yes, sir.
Because we do have some things that's coming up in our future pretty quickly that we need to make a recommendation to this board about concerning this, when will we start meeting? And, you know, I mean, can we kind of set something up for that also?
Okay. All right. Did everybody hear Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think what we should do is approve, if that's the will of the board, approve the charter. And, of course, I guess we're going to have the consent of the city commission to participate. I don't think that'll be a problem. But I think we should first approve the charter, and then we can proceed to appoint the 2 members from this board. And as soon as we get that done, we'll get the city's appointee, and then we'll let those 3 people schedule the appointment.
That'll work.
Okay. So with that, in the proposed change to paragraph 7, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the charter for the Albany Utilities Power Supply Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion, Dr. Adams?
None.
Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Mr. Loeb?
None.
Okay, with that, we'll call the question. Dr. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Battle?
Yes.
Mr. Deal?
Yes.
Ms. Loeb?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. And now I guess we should decide who's going to be the 2 appointees on the Power Supply Committee.
Mayor, I'd like to nominate Stan Logue and Brenda Battle.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I'd like to move that the nomination be closed on the said 2 names.
Okay. With that, any discussion? Dr. Adams?
None.
Ms. Battle?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
And Ms. Loeb?
None.
Okay. The vote is the nomination from Member Deal to appoint Ms. Battle and Mr. Logue as the 2 representatives of the Utility Board to the Power Supply Committee. We could call the question, Dr. Adams.
Yes.
Ms. Battle?
Yes.
Mr. Deal?
Yes.
Ms. Logue?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. Okay, the next, Dr. Adams has referred to it under other matters. Dr. Adams?
Yes. You know, with the recent spill we have, I guess I need to just have a kind of a brief conversation as to where are we with the company that we have. I'm assuming that we've already made a contract on the CSO issue. And I guess what I'm concerned about is what kind of warning devices that are in place and what kind of responsibility that the company with whom we have the contract with has at this point. I guess I know that we've allocated and voted on a certain amount of monies to be paid, but I'm not sure in my mind as to at what stage are we now? Are we still in the at the stage that we are dealing with the contract, or is the contract in place? And if the contract is already in place, what would be the responsibility of the company about having us monitor and hopefully prevent some of these spills?
I can take that question. Thank you, Dr. Adams. So the contract is signed, the new equipment is installed and in place. In fact, we were aware seconds after the power went out at the lift station, and so was the contractor, and they acknowledged it. went out and monitored the situation. The issue is that we got 5 inches of rain in over a 10-hour period that came in sporadic big chunks, and it overwhelms the system when we have power out across the city and upstream stations, and downstream stations lose power. There's no way to pump the water, so the water just continues to flow and eventually overflows if you can't start activating the pumps. And so that's what happened. So there really was nothing as far as being able, a deficiency in being able to monitor the system. We were monitoring it the entire time and could watch it happen. Just due to lack of power, we're unable to, get the pumps running in order to mediate the situation. Actually, it was actually only off in that particular one case for 1 hour. We did overflow about 40,000 gallons in 1 hour, but by all means of the size and scope of that storm, that's actually quite small.
Well, I understand the when you're dealing with nature's going to win just about most of the time. But
yes,
I guess my question would be, if I may use as an analogy, if I'm in the operating room operating on a patient and the power goes out, there's immediately emergency power flips on. So if I may use an analogy, is there not a backup system in case something like this happens to prevent, or is just everything dependent upon this one source of power?
We do have backup generators that we received earlier this year. We just don't have the transfer switches installed at every station. So that is still a further upgrade that we're working on.
How close are we to being sure that we finish so we won't have to be confronted with another spill?
I'd have to go back and get you the actual number, but we have over 100 stations, and our installed switch transfer switches is not that high.
Well, it appears to me that somebody needs to be working overtime and 7 days a week to get this done, because this is not only becoming embarrassing for the city, it can potentially be expensive if we are penalized down the road for these spillages.
Yes, sir. We're continuing to work towards upgrading the system.
Well, thank you for letting me vent my spleen, and I appreciate you listening.
No problem. Thank you, sir.
On the issue of the CSO, Ms. Battle, any questions?
None.
Mr. Deal?
None.
Mr. Loeb?
Ken, I know that in our last meeting when we talked about you gave us the update, you and Ms. Subadan, and talked about how, we are into year one. We've got a short fuse on getting all of this fixed. And either the RFPs were about to go out or they had already gone out. Where do we stand in that process for the next round of projects?
Right. We should be releasing the RFQ for the CSO for the engineering for kind of the next step work, not the work that's that we already had in the hopper, but for the next big chunks. Should have that out within the next month. And then we still have 3 projects that are currently in process.
Okay. And those transfers, changing gears on you, the transfer switches to be installed at the lift stations. Did you prioritize the lift stations as to the ones that we have the most problems with?
Yes, sir. They are all prioritized. There's either 3 or 4 levels of priority that we assign to the lift stations. We also have that information at energy control so that when we do have power outages, we actually address the outages in that same priority order so that we tackle those high priority stations first.
Good deal. Thank you. And that's all.
Thank you.
Ms. Stock, a few questions. I use this term and it may be inaccurate. You have backup generators at the lift station?
We have backup generators that we can tow to the lift stations.
Okay. All right. That's the issue here. Is there any means whereby, I guess you would have a generator at each lift station in the event of a operational default?
Yeah, you absolutely could, sir. It's just a matter of money, frankly.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess we need to get an idea of, but there, if we have some lift stations, I assume the lift stations on the closer to the perimeter of the system are less likely to have spillages. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I guess maybe I would define it kind of the other way around. The stations closest to public waterways are the ones that are of most concern.
Okay. All right. Well, and could we look at having generators at those stations?
Yes, sir. We can take a look at that.
Let's get a cost for this, because as Dr. Adams said, this type of event is very it's embarrassing, but also it has an impact on people down the river, particularly in Mitchell County, and Putney in those areas. We have a responsibility to our fellow citizens. I want to bring this up. I had mentioned it because we had the increase earlier this month for the stormwater fee, but some years ago, it was a directive from the interim city manager to cut budgets by 10%. And one thing that we did was we discontinued the routine street sweeping. I brought this up before. You know, I'm not an engineer, but I have enough sense to know that if you have vegetation and debris in the pipes, that reduces the capacity of your system. That'd be accurate, wouldn't it, Mr. Stock?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what we need to do, particularly since people throughout the city are paying a fee, we need to reinstate that service. And I mean, remember Ms. Subadan gave us a number one time. It was north of $1 million to do that. But we have the street sweepers. And I think even if we have to increase the fee to cover that, or to reallocate funds from the CSO project to finance running these street sweepers on a schedule throughout the city, we need to do that. The other thing, I may be wrong, Mr. Davis isn't here, Mr. Carter might correct me, but I think Albany we don't have an ordinance that prohibits, I may be wrong, the general public from blowing debris into the catch basins. Now, we all see it throughout town. Lawn care services will come cut our grass, and they have the blowers, and they get everything in the street, and then suddenly it disappears. It's not our concern because our yard looks good. But in point of fact, we've put quantities of debris into the catch basin, and I think we need to look at that. The one thing I'll say in closing, this $300 million project, a substantial portion of that budget includes ongoing maintenance. So we need to be aware of that. And I think this is one opportunity we have to get out in front of it and to enhance our maintenance, and also it's be more equitable for the community, and maybe do something to reduce these events. With that, thank you, Dr. Adams, and you'll get us those options, Mr. Stock, Mr. Carter?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other matters?
So, Mayor, if I could interject, I think I recall you just mentioned that you didn't think there was an ordinance to prohibit blowing of debris into the streets.
Yes, sir.
I think in one of our earlier meetings when we were talking about this, we were talking about the different catch basins and how most of them, you know, a lot of it was when there are problems at particular ones, or people call and complain, that those are hit first and they might be hit more frequently. I think then if I recall correctly, Ms. Subadan said that there is an ordinance where folks are not supposed to blow debris into the streets because of this problem, but I just don't think it's being enforced.
Okay.
And then too, I live in an area where there are an awful lot of live oaks. And so, in the fall, we have all the leaves from the trees that come off normally. And then in the spring, all the live oaks, when they put out their new leaves, they push off all the old ones. And so it will literally rain leaves over here for a long period of time. And that's where a lot of these, of the debris that gets into the catch basins are. And I think that it would be wise for us if we could stay on top, because I know I've seen a lot of leaves in these catch basins, particularly after rains like we had on Saturday, where all those leaves travel to the lowest point, which is typically where a catch basin is.
Well, I think we could agree with if we can reduce the amount of vegetation and trash that goes into the system, that'll benefit everybody. And I will look into that about the ordinance. Maybe I said maybe I'm incorrect.
There is an ordinance
okay
on the books. It's chapter 52 for solid waste.
Mm-hmm.
Article 3, 52 and section 75 talks about raking and blowing. It shall be unlawful to rake, blow, or let accumulate any grass clippings, leaves, or any other debris in or any street, sidewalk, or gas station.
Okay.
So that's it already on the books.
Mr. Carter corrects me. Apparently, ordinance 5275 prohibits that. I guess it's sort of like littering is against the ordinance, but most people aren't going to throw out a bag from McDonald's when there's a police officer in the immediate vicinity. So, one thing we can do as citizens, though, if we use a lawn care service, we can insist that our provider comply with the ordinance. But yeah, I'm sorry about that mistake. Any other matters? Oh yeah, we went through that. I would like to. I think we need to have a discussion. And maybe an explanation from staff. We've all got. I'm sure everybody's received calls about the problems that have occurred in the billing process. Two issues I want to bring up. One constituent advises me he did not get a bill for March, and he was calling up here. He couldn't get inside. He was put on hold for extended periods. But Mr. Carter subsequently confirmed that he was one of a group of customers who, during the transition, the bill for March didn't get out in March, and there was a delay because his account, if I'm correct, was being transferred to the new system.
Yes.
And so this constituent received his bill on April 19th and said it was due 2 days later. We can get an explanation on that. And then the other issue, I had a constituent contact me. He says he pays his bill with his credit card, and he received a bill and it says the provider was 705 West Tech Drive. I assume that's somebody that the city's using to collect the bills, but that's how it showed up on his credit card statement. I think that if what we need to do is make sure that the customer knows that the bill is from the city for utility services. But with that, any comments about the issues, and then we'll let Mr. Carter address this. I think we just need to reassure the community that these problems are going to be resolved when we complete the transfer. I hope Mr. Carter can assure that that's the case. Dr. Adams?
No, I don't have any suggestion other than it may have been nice if we had sent out a kind of a flyer announcing that we were going to go through this transition, and if we encountered in it particular problems that here's a number you may call or an email that you may address to or some of that sort, but we may be past that point now. And so we just hopefully we'll have to have an understanding and make the transition as fast as we can.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. Ms. Battle?
Brenda, you're muted.
Multitasking.
Okay, sorry. I thought I'd be prepared. I muted myself. They muted me back. But anyway, I, just like you, Mayor, received quite a few calls from citizens, messages about the transition. And what I was able to advise the callers that our utility department did the best that they could at advertising. They went on the local TV stations with several interviews, WALB and I think it was WAXL. It was also posted on Facebook, the city's website, as well as, what else was it? I thought I even got something in the mail that talked about the new system. And of course, we had meetings that are live that people can view at any point in time during the day, the week, the month, that talked about the new system. So they did do their due diligence in trying to educate the public on what was coming. And unfortunately, you know, like I said to the citizens, you just can't forecast this magnitude of a problem, because now what we've run into, and I've called personally, as well as gotten updates from customers, is that I did get my utility bill pretty much at the time that I usually do, maybe a few days later. I usually pay by phone, and the automated system was quoting last month's amount, which was already paid. So that told me, and I confirmed, of course, with customer service, that the systems weren't reading. So they're juggling customer service between two systems. So not only when you call, you're on about an hour wait time. So, you know, the city feels really bad about it, but, you know, it is a serious glitch that perhaps wasn't anticipated, but, you know, it's happening, but they're working as quickly as they can, and that customers can leave their callback number for a callback, but because the customer service reps are having to physically go back and forth between two systems in order to answer. And one last comment is that people were asking for a suggestion on what they should do. And I was like, well, we all know we have a utility bill each month. My suggestion, if you can't get through and don't have time to wait, or may miss the call when they call back, you know, whatever, pay half of what the prior month was, or pay that amount. You'll have a nice credit, perhaps, but pay something. You know, don't let it just, accumulate until you finally get a bill, because we all know we get a bill. So people were pretty open to that. They didn't like the fact they don't have a paper bill, but, you know, they understood and would proceed, you know, based on their own judgment.
Mm-hmm. After listening to Brenda, I owe somebody an apology, because it appears that there was enough information out there prior to these events happening. So to whomever I owe the apology, I apologize.
No, Dr. Adams, I think we're talking about television and social media, but your suggestion was to send a letter because a lot of, that's the best way to communicate. And if we would have used one more option, that probably would have been best in hindsight. But Mr. Deal?
Yes, sir. I've had several complaints or concerns, maybe is a better word, about the bill being late. But the big, and Steve Carter helped me through that. I appreciate that very much. But the biggest concern I have is I'm getting a number of calls about people calling down to the utility office. They are either put on hold or the phone rings and rings and rings, nobody answers. I've got a feeling that we're not being as responsive as we need to be as far as people calling in. And I don't know how to change that, but that does concern me.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Deal. Ms. Loeb?
I think much like the others, I've had similar conversations with folks and have also experienced it personally. But I think one thing also is, regardless of what you do in a situation like this, transitions are just difficult. They and they can be overwhelming, particularly to a group like customer service, because they are fielding calls from everyone about either not getting a bill yet, or I'm confused by this bill. And the other issue is, I know I pay online, and so I went to the old portal thinking that I could see my new bill and pay, but could not. Well, I finally figured out that if I went to the city's homepage and then went to utilities and said pay my bill, it actually takes you to the new site where you register for the new portal. So I did get everything set up. I was able to add another account to my primary account, and it did all the things that Mr. Carter had been telling us it was going to be able to do. But it took me a little while to get there. But I think that once folks are aware of the new site and they get registered, and that might be one thing that we want to do now, is just reinforce for everyone that those who do want to pay online, that they need to go to the new registration site to add their accounts and get their profiles established. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Lowe. I'm sympathetic with staff, because I know a lot of times people are on hold, and when they finally get to somebody, they're rude or angry or both. And if you have to put up with that for 8 hours a day, it's kind of difficult. But one thing, Dr. Adams, with the comment about writing the letter, I understand the system wants to channel everybody to paying online and doing things digitally. But we have a segment of population that folks want to come in and pay the bill manually. And hopefully we'll open up the building at some point in the near future. That will, I think, reduce the number of calls. And we all understand that most of this was a result of problems we encountered in the transition. But we need to always be cognizant of our duty to provide the best customer service to the public, and hopefully a lot of this frustration will pass if the transition can be finalized in the near future. Mr. Carter, you want to speak to that?
Absolutely. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your patience with us as we work through this. Absolutely, this is more than we expected as we transition. There were some things that we had not forecasted that turned up, and most of it dealt with just bad data coming out of the new system. So we're having to do a lot of cleanup to try to come up with solutions to get things right as we move forward. I understand that, yes, we are late with getting some bills out, but one of the mandates is, and I know that people are frustrated with it being late, but I think they'll be more frustrated with it if we just send out wrong bills. So I've challenged the people that's creating these bills and putting them out to take some time, make sure that we get it right, because I do think, even though there's some uproar about the delay of the bill, I think there'd be a bigger uproar if it was late and wrong.
Yeah,
so
sure.
We're working really hard to make sure that those things are active as we move forward. We put out, numerous announcements, different places. No, we didn't actually send out a letter to all of our customers. In hindsight, that may have been an option that we should have taken at that point. But we've been on TV, we've been on radio, we've been on Facebook, we've been on websites. Even when you call, there's an announcement about it as you're waiting to talk to one of our customer service agents. Now, one of the problems with the calling is there's been a real big influx of calls. We didn't get more people, we got more calls. So naturally, we got more people queued. The system queued them automatically. It answers the calls in the order received kind of thing. Our hold time now are somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. just because of the volume of calls. We sometimes get like 3,000 calls in the course of a day. We have like 15 people that's going to answer calls. So, you know, if you do the math in your head, we just can't get to all of them. However, there are options that is programmed into that system. If they choose not to hold, they can automatically save their point in a queue by asking for a callback. It repeats that to them every once in a while. Hey, if you want to save your spot in the queue, and we'll call you back at a later time. And the way that works is you don't lose your spot in the queue. That system automatically holds your spot, and at the point where it's your time to talk, that customer service agent's phone will start ringing. When she picks it up, then the other person's phone will start ringing, and they join it, and you know that way you can go ahead with your day and not stand on hold for 45 minutes. Our drive-through is back open. We're not really crowded with the drive-through. I thought it was going to be a whole lot of people that wanted to come back in and make payments through the drive-through, but the drive-through has been pretty calm since we've opened back up. I really anticipated more than that. However, the payee that you just showed me, that's one I'm not familiar with. I've never seen that before. The payee that we use is SpeedPay. So, and when I pay my bill, I'm one of the ones who pay my bill online. So when I get that, I get something from SpeedPay. So I got to check that to make sure that something didn't happen that we don't have anything to do with on that one. So, but I took the picture of it, okay, so we can make some checks on that for it. But I do apologize to our customers. I apologize to our board and our commission for the problem that we have encountered. We are working diligently, day, night, weekend, to get this resolved and get caught up. But again, I make the promise to everybody that there will be no late fees or no disconnection as a result of our delays. We are working hard to make sure that we get this right. And again, we're getting the bills out, but I've really told them to be careful about what bills they send and scrutinize them to the maximum. Because again, I just feel personally that although we're late getting the bill out, we'll be really crucified if we get it out in this wrong. So we're working hard to make sure that we do that right. And I'm personally taking calls from people. I'm personally responding to people. I've done a lot of that personally because I think it matters. If they call me, that I take the call and that I address whatever issues they have. So if someone is having trouble, absolutely, I can't take every call from a student just same as our call center can't. But I am working diligently to make sure I personally reach out to some of these customers and talk to them about what's going on.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Carter? Dr. Adams?
No, I think Mr. Carter is doing a tremendous job, and he has a tremendous challenge. My concern would be that with the poverty population of around 30%, I'm just wondering how many of our clients have access to the technology to do the things that the 1% of us who are fortunate enough to be able to enjoy these things. And I kind of wonder whether or not that there are any stations around where they can have access to Wi-Fi and the technology to do some of these things that we want to encourage them to kind of catch up and do. And of course, I'm old-fashioned and I had to be retaught, and I can at this point afford to have some of these luxuries, I should call them. Well, not luxuries, they're almost necessities at this point of life. But I kind of wonder about the 30% of our population that may not be so fortunate. And if there's anything we can do to kind of bring them up to where we are or where they need to be in order to help us out to take care of some of these problems we have. That's a long statement, but I would love to have a short answer.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Dr. Adams, thank you for the question. Yes, we're always concerned about all of our customers, not just the ones who can take advantage of the things that we roll out. We're always trying to roll out new initiatives and new things to accommodate our customers. And we understand that anything that we do is not going to be, not going to get 100% participation in any of it. But what we try to do is give a wide variety of options so people won't have this one thing that they can do. Anecdotally, one of the things that I thought was going to be a problem for us that turned out actually to be better than I anticipated was during the time that the drive-through and the walk-in was closed. The actual payments went up. We didn't suffer any. That our revenue stayed at a very high level. I anticipated that may be a drop-off simply because you had to find an alternate means of making those payments. But it seemed like that was not a problem. As a matter of fact, when I talked earlier about when we opened the drive-through back up, we're not seeing the amount of people that I anticipated that was going to want to come back to the drive-through. I think other people have found other means of paying. Therefore, they are working toward doing that, and it became comfortable for us because we were closed. But to address your problem as far as the digital divide that I think we have in this community, that is absolutely something that I've looked at from my days as the CIO. What can we do to help with that? I think there are some initiatives that we can bring to this board and to the city commission that may help not just with those of our customers who are having challenges with technology, but just our citizens in general. I think there's something that we can do as a city to kind of move that process forward. And I would be honored if I will be allowed to just bring some initiatives to you guys, and then you can kind of pick and choose the ones that you want to support, but we can move forward as a city and help our entire city, not just our customer base.
Yeah, just a brief statement. Again, a lot of our customers in that category were redirected to buy money orders and to use Western Union, which kind of added an additional fee to whatever bill that they owed. So I think we saw a lot of that during that particular time, and just to put that out there. Thank you. You're doing a wonderful job, and anything we can do to alleviate the pain of this group of people, I certainly would like to see it happen.
Thank you, sir. I think this one's on us. We're just going to have to work our way through it. We'll address every issue. Bad customer service is not an option.
There you go.
Timely quality customer service is required regardless of what the circumstances are. And I absolutely make sure we reiterate that to everyone that come in contact with any of our customers.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. Ms. Battle?
Well, yes. Look, I want to reassure my colleagues that the customer service with water, gas, and light has improved tremendously. And I know that because since I've been on the board, I have been a secret customer. I've been calling at random customer service since I've been on the board just to check to see if they can answer the basic questions without giving my account and without saying I'm a utility board member. And I've gotten excellent service. Now, have I gotten some people that didn't quite know how to address certain questions? Yeah, it's been few. And what I did with those is that I've documented, I have my book here with dates, times, and names, and I've called the director, Ms. Petty, along with others to discuss my calls. And they've corrected those. So customer service has improved tremendously. I know since I've been on the board, and I know because I've been directly involved, and I encourage all of you to be secret callers to make sure that our people, the citizens, are getting the right information. And if not, we can help resolve it in that manner. So that's important. They have improved.
Mr. Dale?
Let me unmute here. I would like to thank Stephen Carter. He's been phenomenal. I've bothered him way too much, but any request I've had of him, he has been very prompt, very responsive. And Stephen, just wanted to thank you for doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Loeb?
Yes, Mr. Carter, I thank you, and please pass along to customer service and to staff, everyone involved in the transition, that we appreciate all the hard work, and we do realize the burden, the additional burden that it does place on everyone. And it's not that we don't understand or appreciate it, because we certainly do. And I know and I've been thinking a little bit along the lines, just like Dr. Adams has. You know, more and more of us now will have a phone or a cell phone, even if we don't have landlines. Some of our citizens don't have access to internet or reliable internet service. Have we thought about having some hotspots added around town, or would it be prohibitively expensive if we did have some in areas like downtown or near Riverfront Park, somewhere that folks might go that's convenient, that they might be able to pay their bills on their phones with the reliable internet service? That was just one of the thoughts that I had.
We have it at libraries, don't we?
All the libraries, all of our public buildings. But one of the things as I looked at this as a issue, you know, not as my position now, but previously as the CIO, we always think about putting hotspots in those places where we think people gather, but that's truly not where a lot of people try to use the internet in those places. What I think we need to do is look at some initiatives that we can put some hotspots in those places where people live. In some of those neighborhoods that are suppressed or, economically challenged, instead of asking them to go someplace else, I think one of the solutions, maybe we come to them and provide some solutions that way. But again, I will bring you some suggestions and solutions, and we can move forward from there.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Okay, any items for the future agenda? Dr. Adams?
You're muted, Doc.
Thank you. Okay. I guess I should get in line here, and I thank Mr. Carter for the wonderful job he's doing also. And I think that last idea that you proposed is a great idea. Take these things to the customer. Yeah. Thank you.
Items for the next agenda, Ms. Battle?
I would actually like to know, since it appears that people are becoming more informed of how to deal with the pandemic, social distancing, all of that. I'm still real big, like others, on keeping the city clean or cleaning up. How soon can we get an update on whether or not we can use inmates to help clean up the city? Can that be a discussion?
Okay. I think certainly we can put it on the agenda, Ms. Battle, but Ms. Subadan answered that question in the minutes at the last meeting. I think she said that you just can't feasibly transport inmates in vans because of the social distance requirements. But we can certainly put it on the agenda. But I said, if my recollection is correct, she said we don't have any idea until the safety precautions are no longer in effect. It's just not going to be an option, I think. But we can put it on the agenda, and certainly. Is that okay, Mr. Carter? Okay.
Well, no, if you're saying we can't social.
Ma'am?
Well, if you're saying we can't social distance on the van, and that the only time we're going to discuss this is when the pandemic is over, then I guess we'll all wait.
Oh, no. We can discuss it, but I think we had the answer, but we can certainly put it on the agenda with an explanation. That's fair enough. Mr. Deal?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Lowe?
Nothing right now.
Okay, so the item for the next agenda, we will have an update on use of inmate labor.
Can I ask one question before we close?
Can I say this first?
Absolutely.
But we'll also, I think there are some issues which with using people who are not actually inmates but doing public service because there are liability issues, and we can have an update on that, and so that the members of the commission are familiar with the problems which arise with using individuals who are on probation. Mr. Carter, you had something to say?
Yes, sir. If you were done for the
Yes,
meeting,
sir.
I just had
Yes, sir.
a quick question for the long-term financial planning committee. Economic Development Commission has asked, can we consider something for them? But I know that long-term planning commission had a financial planning commission is a couple members from this board is in it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's a scheduled meeting. So I wanted to bring it up here to see what's the process to get a meeting scheduled so they can consider what the EDC is looking for. Okay. The first thing we're going to need to do, Mr. Carter, can we put this on the agenda for our meeting next Tuesday? We absolutely can. And let city commission go ahead and appoint the other member. And I guess after we get the city commission. I'm not talking about the power committee. Okay. This is a long-term planning, financial planning committee that is already
okay. All right. Okay.
Mr. Deal and
and Dr. Adams. Yes. Okay. Do we have members from the city commission on that as well?
I don't know. Is there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so Langstaff, Attorney Langstaff is on there.
Wasn't Fletcher on there too, Doc?
I think so. I know Langstaff was on there.
Okay. Then I'll get something out. I'll find out who the members are. Then get something out to them so we can try to set up a meeting then.
So, Mr. Deal and Dr. Adams, y'all are aware that the long-term planning committee needs to meet to consider a request from the EDC. So we'll get with the city commissioners and we'll get that thing arranged at a time convenient for y'all. There we go.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, and I think that concludes our business. I appreciate your attendance, your participation, and your service, and we'll be adjourned.
Thank you.